But get ready, it's time for the podcast.
Welcome to my candy-colored studio in Midway, Utah. Here I serve a palette of support, hope, and love with a side of realness. As a mother of 5, i.e., 3 high schoolers and 8-year-old twin boys, I know that life is rarely easy and jolly, but savoring the sweet moments gives us the strength we need to find peace, growth, and fulfillment along our journey. Thanks for being you. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back to the Candy Colored Studio. I'm artist Katrina Berg. This is episode 204, and I have such a treat for you today. I have 4 of the loveliest ladies with me in the Candy Colored Studio, and we are doing a very brand new special thing. Are we calling it our Pod Sisters panel? Should we call it that?
Yeah,
okay, we're calling it our
good.
Pod Sisters panel, and this is a panel of ladies that are all artists and podcasters. So welcome, ladies. So happy to have you. As just like a little background, so we have Jessica Libor of the Inspired Painter podcast, and then we also have our 3 lovely ladies from the Artist Soar podcast, Joelis Mccullough, Rachel Horoschenko, and Stephanie Weaver. So welcome, ladies.
Hello.
Thank
you.
Well, awesome. Well, I thought since this is our very first panel, we would start off with a quick introduction. Give us a little tidbit about you, your work, and then what you've been working on. And then we will jump into our topic. And for our listeners, every time we get together, we're going to have one simple topic, and we'll each give some experience and suggestions or just anything we've been thinking about with that topic. And so they're going to be just a quick way for you to hear from all 5 of us. And of course, if you have any suggestions for topics, please contact any of us. And we're excited to do this with you. So why don't we start with Jules? Is that okay, Jules?
Sure, that's fine. I'm Joelis Mccullough. Watercolor mixed media artist and illustrator, a mother of 3 living in the Rocket City. Traditionally, my work is using bright colors with little details to create a modern and vibrant piece of art. So that's a little bit about me. I have been working on a couple different things. So I recently finished this piece.
Ooh.
And that's motivated me into creating a full illustration with a flamingo as the centerpiece and tropical leaves filling it, full of bright and lush blues and greens. So I'm excited to get that piece done this week.
Oh, that's exciting. Awesome, Jules. Okay, Rachel, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Or afternoon. I don't know when this is going out, but hello. I'm Rachel Horoschenko. I am also from Huntsville, Alabama, Rocket City, as Jewel says. I have 2 children, a son and a daughter. They're both grown, married, and live in other cities. So I am an oil painter, and I paint like pop art. And recently I had read a book that inspired me to do this octopus, and I'm calling him Marcellus.
Oh, wow.
And then I've also been working a little bit of Christmas in July. So I did some Christmas lights. So both of those. So I work with a lot of color and have fun with it, actually.
That's beautiful. I love both of those.
Yeah.
I love
Thanks.
how we're already getting into Christmas, but you have to. You have to.
Exactly.
Start early.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Stephanie.
Okay, hey, I'm Stephanie Weaver. I'm also in Huntsville, Alabama, and I am an oil painter, mother of 2. They're both teenagers, 13 and 15, so lots of soccer, lots of activities. Got to breathe a lot. So, so I am like an oil painter, and I do a lot of custom oil pet portraits. But when I'm not doing pet portraits, I do a lot of fun stuff. And I've actually got a big one that I'm working on. I'm going to share it with you. It's and it's big, so it's kind of in development. So this is the start. and he's staring at a hummingbird.
Wow.
And there's like bunnies and mice and snails and
Wow.
just all sorts of things that I kind of made up.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
I got the underpainting done, and I'm just kind of well built. And then I'm going to have the color.
Amazing.
I'm excited.
That's awesome. Stephanie, thank you for sharing those. I feel like for those of you that are listening in podcast land, just so that you know, we do have a visual version of this episode. So you might really enjoy doing that so you can see what all the ladies have been working on. All right, Jessica.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here this morning with you lovely ladies. My name is Jessica Libor, and I'm an artist, so I paint about the feminine protagonist and kind of like her journey. And then I use a lot of like imagery from fairy tales and incorporate nature with that. So that's what I paint about. But recently, I also I coach artists through the Visionary Artist Salon. And I have a course called the Luminary Artists Academy for Artists. And then I also run a gallery called Era Contemporary Gallery, and we are working on a project with SpaceX right now to send art to the moon. So that's pretty exciting.
Oh, wow.
And I actually just
Very
got back
cool.
last week from France. I did a month-long residency in France, and it was amazing. It was incredible. And so it's so great that we're talking about burnout today, because I was so burnt out before I went on this residency, and I definitely have some insights about burnout. But while I was there, I actually ended up doing like a lot of drawings, like really big drawings, because I just felt like drawing, and I wasn't expecting that. But I also did a bunch of plein air paintings because it was so beautiful where I was. So here's one that I did. You can see.
Ooh.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
beautiful.
That's an oil painting. And then I was actually there for Bastille Day. And so I went to Paris for Bastille Day, and I saw the fireworks for Bastille Day, and they
that's
actually laid up
gorgeous.
the Eiffel Tower, all these different colors. So I just did a couple different versions of like the Eiffel Tower lit up. So those are some
Nice.
things that I've been working on.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Jessica. Oh, it's so fun to see what each of you are working on. And you can tell we have lots of different mediums and styles included in our lovely lady panel. So this is exciting. And for those of you that are listening to our panel for the first time and aren't familiar with me, I live in Utah in the Rocky Mountains. I'm a mother of 5, and I'm an oil painter as well. I use lots of thick candy colored oil, and I paint with not only my brushes, but also I love to use palette knives to create colorful, contemporary, and shiny still life landscapes and portraits. So that's a little bit about me. And as for what I've been working on, summertime is a little bit crazy. I can tell we've all got crazy things to share. But for me, I've been working on this big piece. I'll just kind of turn my camera here. This is just a little peek. You can kind of tell it's a big piece, and then I've got the grove at the top, but that's as far as I've gotten. And then there's going to be some dancers. My daughter's a dancer, and so I've got some pictures of she and all her friends, and they're going to be dancing in the grove. So that's what's going on with me. But again, I'm so excited to be with you ladies. And Jessica, she's totally right. We're going to talk about burnout today, and that's going to be such a good topic, because I think it's something that we as artists, everyone can relate to, especially as women, because we juggle so many hats. And even if you're not a mother like Jessica, you've got a gallery and you've got a course and you've got all these things. And I will tell you that our other ladies also have multiple things going on as well. So it's very fitting for us to talk about this today. So why don't we go back to Jules, if that's okay. Jules, do you want to share your tip on avoiding burnout?
Yeah, sure. So I've hit burnout several times in my career. And one thing that always has helped me is making sure that I'm creating something for me, whether that be outside my regular medium, like a crochet project or a sewing project, or within my typical medium of watercolor and digital mixed media. Then but it's just something for fun, something that I love, something I want to do, has no expectations to be sold. And that always, as long as I keep that going, I find I don't get as burnt out as if I didn't have something for me. So that'd be my number one tip.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And just out of curiosity, Jules, do you find that you're doing different projects just for you, or is it you kind of have a go-to? What does it look like usually for you?
For me, it varies. Like, I've been working on a blanket, which I crochet. I also sew. It's just more of what I feel. Sometimes it's just, okay, I want to create a piece of art for myself. One thing I'm working on too is I want to create a pattern for some blackout curtains for our bedroom. So those are all different things and projects that I can work on. That's just for me, not for anyone else to see, and just have fun.
Oh, I love
So
that.
it
What a
varies.
great suggestion. Yeah, that's wonderful. And I think too, like you were saying, it's almost like cross training too. When you're doing your crocheting or you're working on house projects, it's still creating and you're still using your creative juices as an artist.
Correct.
But like you said, it's totally for you. I love it.
Yeah. It's all about sharpening the saw, taking a term from what our kids learned in school. But that's really what it boils down to.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. That was a great suggestion. Rachel, how about you?
Yeah, so I do a couple of different things as well. And one thing that we did this summer, and actually with Stephanie and another painter, Julie Knowles, we ended up going to the botanical gardens out here and doing plein air painting. So we're not painting in our studio, we're doing something else. We're getting together with somebody else, an artist. And I mean, we could have been doing watercolor or anything else. And just spending some time together with somebody else who might be going through that same burnout. It was just so refreshing to sit there and talk about things that had nothing to do with painting. And we're just sitting there painting and then, talking about, oh yeah, so how's your dad doing? How's this? And just sort of decompressing. And I think that is important to have a tribe or have your people around you. So even if it's just friends and family and you guys go to the movies or something, just kind of get out of your head, get out of that creative space maybe, and just enjoy what you're doing. It's always been helpful for me.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Find your tribe, be able to share more, fill that emotional and social bucket that we all need.
Right.
Beautiful.
Right.
Thank you, Rachel. That was a great suggestion. Stephanie.
Well, I think mine almost falls in line with what Rachel and Julie were talking about, where so one of the things that I implemented this year, because I can easily be classified as a workaholic, I do a lot like Jessica and all of us. We try and we've got the art business, we've got art, we've got helping others, we're teaching others, we're doing all the things, including our family and stuff. And so I actually implemented this year where every 7 weeks I take 7 days off from the art and art business and just focus on kind of refilling my cup. So that would be what I would recommend, is just to take a break from serving everybody else, even if you have to go to a cabin in the woods like I did, and just focus on what you want. And I can tell you, today is my first day back from a 7-day sabbatical, and I couldn't wait to get back because I was so excited about all the things that I had planned, because you actually got time to think. And I think everybody needs that time to just themselves.
Oh, that's beautiful. So one of the first things that I learned about Stephanie when we first met online was the fact that she was going on one of her 7-week sabbaticals. And the minute she told me that, I was like, this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. It doesn't matter if you're an artist, whatever it is that you're doing, if you feel the burnout, like it's such a brilliant plan, but I think that we as artists really do tend to take on too many things. And so I think it can be helpful for just about any artist, and it doesn't have to look the same way. You know, I think it's important to find what works for you. And I think that Stephanie's been kind of like tweaking things, and that was really awesome that you got to go to the woods and then have your family join you later. Like that's really awesome. So if you need suggestions on how that would look like, definitely reach out to Stephanie, because she's been doing it for a while. So that's really exciting. Well, thank you, Stephanie. And Jessica.
Hello. Okay, so mine is to, well, it could be two things, but the first one is to take a administrative break. So most of the artists that I talk to that are feeling burnout, it's not because they're painting too much. It's more because there's like all these other things that they have to do, like applying for shows or answering 100 emails or, submitting to shows, packing your work, organizing your work, managing social media, doing all these administrative tasks, keeping up with inventory reports, taxes, like all this other stuff that's like, it just is endless. And you could be doing that full time, honestly. And you could be on your computer like all the time as an artist. And I felt like I was kind of letting that take over earlier this year, because I have many different aspects to my art business and art career. And I was just, really trying to keep on top of everything. But what I realized is that the actual heart of my my artistic career, which is my art, was not being prioritized. And the residency that I did was perfect for me because it really forced me to take a break from all of that. So taking an administrative break from all your stuff, I know it can like feel a little bit like you're losing control, but really like your soul needs it. Like you need that break. And there's ways to do it. Like I pre-wrote a bunch of emails for like some different aspects of my business and had those like go out at predetermined dates, like with my email server. And I made sure all of my commissions were complete before I went off to this residency. I pre-recorded my podcasts and those went out during everything. So I pre-did a lot of things so that I made sure that nothing was falling through the cracks, and I was able to totally relax for that month and just not think about anything else except being in nature, exploring Paris, painting if something struck my fancy. And it was, art, I don't feel that art causes burnout. Like most people who are like, oh, I paint all day.
Yes.
Like that doesn't cause burnout. It's mostly all the other things that surround that choice to be an artist, which is being a professional artist. So all that administrative work. So if you can take like a month and try to do your work beforehand so that you can actually take that time off of your all administrative tasks, so you can just decompress and actually let those creative ideas bubble to the surface. And also I found it extremely helpful to be in a space that was outside of my normal day-to-day space. That's my tip.
Very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. And it's great too, because if you feel like you're not ready to take off completely and do a sabbatical for a whole week, you could definitely take a couple days a month or 1 week every couple months and do an administrative break. Mm-hmm. Especially when you plan it around trips. I know Jules has been going on lots of trips. Every time we get together, it's like, where have you been, Jules? It's so exciting. So I think, you can find what works best for you again, but I love that. And I love that you did a lot of things before you left. I've done that in the past. You other ladies with Artist Soar probably have found, because I don't know if you guys know this, but they batch their episodes as a regular thing. So they're kind of preparing for that constantly. And I think that's so wise that you guys do that. that, especially because there's 3 of you and you have 3 different schedules. Jessica and I, it's a little bit different. You know, I'm just like Jessica. I'll batch if I'm going on a trip, but if I'm not, and it's just easier with my schedule to just do 1 a week, that's what I do. So I love getting to see the concrete ways that that's happening for you, Jessica. And yeah, just welcome back. That's so exciting. So, okay. So mine, the thing that I kept thinking about is this beautiful word called no. And I think for me, it's like the best way for me to just like let go of these is just to learn the power of saying no. So for example, for me, it looks like with shows, I'm going to be more intentional. I'm going to do less shows, or I'm going to be very picky about which shows I apply to, which shows I say yes to. When it comes to galleries, same thing. For me, I need to be intentional, have really clear boundaries so that I'm not taking on more things that is, you know, the whole under promise and over deliver. I don't want to tell my gallery that I'm going to have 50 pieces ready for them in a couple months when that's just not even a possibility, right? So there's that thing. And then social media, we've talked about that as a group, but just having strict boundaries with social media, showing up less. I know that both of your podcasts, the Artist Soar and Jessica's Inspired Painter podcast, both podcasts recently talked about ways to do social media better, to have better boundaries, to show up less. Jessica talked about having a detox, which also probably went along with your administrative break. And I think that was awesome too. Just take a break from social media. And it doesn't have to be like some of the boundaries that I have lately, they're kind of consistent boundaries, but it can also show up just like Jessica suggested as a detox, just as a month off or a couple months, whatever you need to do. I think also just the availability. Are we having the notifications going all the time so people can contact us at any time? Or do we have specific hours or times that we get on social media? And I think that's a good way to say no, but also give ourselves more time to paint. Like Jessica said, we're not getting overwhelmed by painting. It's overwhelmed by the other thing. And that kind of goes back to like your studio time. What do you say no to so that you can take that studio time? And then by the time you say no to all these other things, then I think we have to be really careful about what we're going to actually say yes to. And for me, that looks like my husband, my kids. I have very few social commitments and extended family commitments. Everything else is going to be a no. So that means that my time of volunteering at the schools, it's done. I don't do that anymore. I'm not the classroom mom. I'm not the one bringing in cupcakes all the time. I don't do Pinterest style birthdays for my 5 kids anymore. We've changed and evolved so that we're very intentional about what things we actually say yes to. And then the last thing I would say is like the fun things like girls' night outs and even just like painting retreats. I have to say no to the majority of those as well, just because it takes away from my studio time. Now, it may not always look like that for me. I'm really kind of crazy, but with so many kids, it's just like sometimes I just have to say no to a lot of things, but maybe in a little while I'll be able to say yes to more things. And so I think it's something that we have to continue to reevaluate. And again, it's our business. So we get to do whatever we want with our art practice and change and evolve with whatever works best for us. But I think for me, again, it's the power of saying no so that we can say yes to the things that are most important.
Love that.
Well,
I love that.
Great one
That's
too.
just a great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, maybe follow up with any thoughts that you ladies had as we've been talking. I mean, since this is our first one, it's kind of like we're trying to figure out just how we're going to run these. But I would love to hear if you guys had other thoughts, especially while, everyone was talking. Rachel.
Well, I loved it with Stephanie and Jessica's ideas, and even Jules too, that you kind of really have to plan for breaks just ahead of time and know that you can't do it all the time. And, even if she's like Jules is doing a blanket, well, she's got to kind of have some time to sit and work on that blanket. Or like Jessica said, she did a lot of things ahead of time to clear her schedule so that she had that time in France and could just enjoy it. And same with
Yeah.
Stephanie, even for the week. And I think you could start small, like clear your calendar for the weekends. When you start feeling overwhelmed and things like that, well, take a little extra time, plan it, and then do nothing. Or
Right.
do something really enjoyable, like Jessica was doing with the drawing.
Yeah.
I'll kind of add on to that. So, like Jessica, with the planning of taking 7 days every 7 weeks, that planning actually started in November of last year. So that I lined everything up for this whole year to make sure that I blocked off that time, those 7 days, and like family, friends, everybody knows it now. And what really shocked me is that everybody respects it and thinks that this is such a good idea, and they're even considering doing it moving forward. And that was an unexpected thing, because I think in our society today and in our mindsets, we're like, we have to be productive all the time, 24/7. If we're not, we're slackers, we're losers, we're not going to make it anything. And what I found is that, during those 7 days, I'm still continuing to make sales. And my business is still continuing. It's not like I'm performing heart surgery.
Right.
Nobody's going to die if I don't show up on, social media. It's not that important. But family and your mindset need to be preserved. And so taking that time is essential. And it took me a really long time to figure that out. Like, I consider myself a smart person, but apparently I'm really thick-headed when it comes to that.
No, you're not. You're just like the rest of us, just trying to figure it out, Stephanie. But I'm so grateful for each of you for being trailblazers in each of your areas, because if we don't blaze the trail and then share it with others, how do you even know there's other options out there, right? And so I think it's really important to share these things, and then everyone else can tweak it and make it their own. So
I just want to add, when I got back, I was so excited to come home and get started on all these projects, because I feel unstoppable now because I had that rest. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I have all this energy now, awesome. And I have so many ideas, and I'm ready to really buckle down. And so it's not like you're wasting time by resting. It's going to fill you up so that you can be even more productive.
Yes.
Oh, totally.
No, I found that to be.
Just like Jessica, get super excited. This is my 7-week plan for the next 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Get super excited.
No, that was
and it's better for your art.
Yeah, that's okay. I just
Jules.
want to say, I agree with that too. When I took some time off in the early part of this year, it was so exciting to come back with new, fresh ideas, a fresh perspective. And I love what you're doing, Stephanie, and Jessica. Hearing about France is just taking a whole month is just so luxurious to me, to be able to do something like that. That's just awesome. So I think that's very important.
Decadent is the word. I just love it.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Okay. Well, you guys, this has been super helpful. I love learning from each of you, from my own little podcast app, but it's so fun to be together and have this chance to bounce off ideas. I know the artists or ladies, they get to do that every week, but for Jessica and I, it's a little bit different, and this is very special. So we're so happy that we get to spend this time together, and we're excited to share more with our listeners. And like I said, please reach out to us and let us know if there's specific topics that you would love to hear from all 5 of us. So again, thank you, ladies, for all your wisdom and your love and just, your willingness to share, because it just makes our community just so much brighter and stronger. And again, it gives everyone the inspiration and the courage and the support to just keep creating. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah. Okay, well, from all of us ladies here in podcast land, may you have the best week, and may you know that you're loved, and may you create wonderful things in the future. And again, sending so much love from the Candy Colored Studio, from the Artist Soar podcast, and the Inspired Painter podcast. Much love to all.
Bye.